In today's video, we are going to talk about mistakes that first-time homebuyers make and how to avoid them. I'm Tiffany Weber, a real estate attorney at Thomas & Weber, serving Lake Norman and the surrounding areas in North Carolina, and we like to put out videos just like this one so you can learn more about real estate. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can see when those videos come out. I have to admit, I have a special place in my heart for first-time homebuyers. If you've ever been in a closing with me, or if you've seen some of my other videos, you know I think it is incredibly important that when you walk out of the closing room, you know exactly what just happened and what's going to happen next. So I tend to explain, maybe over-explain documents like it's your first time every time. So these are some things that I see first-time home buyers do that would probably be better if they didn't do them or they got more educated so they'd have a smoother closing experience. And the first one is being afraid to ask questions for fear of sounding unintelligent or unprepared. I get it. You don't want to look dumb when you're buying your first house. It's a really big step and you want to feel like you know what you're doing. But what that sometimes does is leads to people buying their fourth or fifth home and they're just now getting the courage to ask, what is an escrow account? Why do we even need this? So it would be great if you would just put aside that fear. I promise you there are people that buy houses all the time that don't know the answers to some of these questions. So ask. Ask so you don't walk out of the room saying, gosh, I wish I would have found out what that meant, or I didn't quite get that. So one thing that we see that could definitely improve your experience is not being afraid to ask questions. Now, this next mistake we see is not getting the appropriate inspections or not getting a survey. You've probably seen, if you look at our channel, all sorts of videos about surveys. We think they are critical. There's so many reasons why you should get a survey when you're buying a property. But we'll see buyers forego that because they don't want to have the extra expense or they don't know that they need a certain inspection for their property. And having a good real estate agent will help you with that because they're going to line up all the inspectors, give you options, get it scheduled. It's going to take a ton of burden off of you. So I guess this mistake is kind of twofold, is not having an agent on your side to help you get all of that organized your first time around. The next thing we see is first-time home buyers being unresponsive or disorganized. Because they're generally not familiar with the process, they may not understand how important it is to accurately get information to your lender. So this is more of a lender issue than it is an attorney issue, although sometimes it can happen with our office as well, where you ask for something from a buyer and they just either drag their feet or think it's not that important. So it's incredibly important that if your lender asks you for something, you get it back to them quickly and accurately. You don't want the reason that you can't close or you don't get that clear to close is because you never bothered to press send on that one piece of paper that they needed. This next one is a biggie. So a lot of first-time home buyers don't understand when exactly they get the keys, so they don't plan accordingly. In North Carolina, you don't own the property until the deed is recorded. So sellers have no obligation to hand over the keys to you before that time because they still own the property. And what we see, this is a sad example, but unfortunately it happens, is we'll see a first-time home buyer, they'll end their lease, they put their whole life into a U-Haul or a rental unit where they just have all of their stuff stored away. They come to the closing, they thought 4 o'clock on a Friday, perfect time to close. But there's almost no way that the deed is going to get recorded by 5 p.m. because of all of the things that have to happen in that time for the deed to get recorded. And what that does is leaves them homeless for a weekend. And they didn't see it coming because they thought once they put pen to paper, it's ours, we can go in, no problems, right? And that's just not true. So one thing that we see all the time, unfortunately, is not understanding when you actually own the home and not planning accordingly. So this next thing is not so much a mistake as it is something that will make your experience better at closing if you do it. And that is understanding what you're going to be paying in closing costs. I had a closing not that long ago where one of the parties said, the house is only $150,000. Why are the closing costs $8,000? That seems like the percentages are off. And quite frankly, your closing costs have nothing to do with the percentage of anything. Your closing costs are the things that you owe just to be able to buy the home. So lender charges, the closing itself, paying for your surveys and inspections, your prepaid homeowner's insurance, sorts of things like that. Nothing to do with the price of the house. Now, your cash to close, which is something altogether different, may have you bringing a percentage of the purchase price as your down payment, but that's in addition to closing costs. So that's something that, don't think that it's some sort of percentage that you have to bring for closing. Know what you're paying for, why it matters, and you're going to have a much better closing experience and you won't be taken by surprise. All right, that's it for today. I could probably go on, but I don't want to pick on our first-time home buyers too much. They usually do a great job, ask great questions, and have great agents helping them along the process. But these are just some things that will help you out if you get educated before the closing or even before you start looking for a house. So again, I'm Tiffany Weber, real estate attorney at Thomas & Weber in Mooresville, North Carolina. We'll see you on the next video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.